What's up, everybody? Welcome to Accurate Opinions with Hope and Dwayne. Hope all is well with you. Dwayne, what's up?
What's going on?
Not much. It is a Friday, and I'm glad about it.
All right.
So, anything happening with you particularly?
No, just ending my vacation today. So, guys, I got to get back on the grind on Monday. So, here we go.
Well, have you had a good time?
I did.
Good. You know, sometimes we want to have a good plan for vacation, and then sometimes you just want to play it by ear. And I think this was one of those vacations you played by ear, correct?
Yeah, I would say so.
So that's good. I'm glad you were able to get that in. I mean, again, you know, we're grateful for you guys, the truck drivers, the freight shakers, the relocation engineers, whatever name you guys go by. We thank you. You had a little time off. We're rested. So I guess that's it for you for the year, bro.
No, I still got next month, you know.
It's a lot of time.
Next month. And then I think we got something planned for August, don't we?
Not away, not time off.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
Not that I know of.
next month is the last time. But I have 4 weeks of vacation. It don't seem like I've used 4 weeks already.
I think this is your second one, right?
Okay. What was my first one?
Your birthday.
Did I take a week off? Okay.
You go see your parents, didn't you? Bless.
Man, I can't remember. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't remember.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you got to go back to work. It is what it is. And you know, funny thing about it, I was on vacation too, but I don't have to go back Monday.
Well, I don't have to go back to Monday night now. That makes me feel better.
I don't have to go Monday night though.
Miss Jeff, but I will push you down.
You will push me down in a sitting down position?
Yeah, just like push you down, you know.
Oh, okay.
And then wait for everybody to come help you, including Crider.
Maybe everybody coming to beat you up for pushing me down. You ever thought about that, friend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
So anyway, today, it's a lot going on in America. But, you know, I wanted to ask your opinion on a thing or two.
Okay.
You know, everything that's been happening with polices and, you know, black males being killed. What are your thoughts on that? As a black male, just getting your perspective.
You know, I see a lot of that, and especially with the Black Lives Matter and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I've as a black male,
mm-hmm.
I've never been in that position. You know, I've never really had any encounters with the actual law enforcement. So I can't really say.
So, I mean, knowing that you are a pretty well-rounded person, you hardly ever meet a stranger, and that's complimentary. But sometimes you just fit the profile, though. How do you feel about that? I mean, you know, you're not the one to be, you know, you're the one to be like, sure, sir, you sure it was me? Me? You know, but sometimes it's just a profile issue.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people is just in the right spot at the right, or in the wrong spot at the right time. So the cop has to find somebody. So he's just like, well, it was a black male, you know, so let's just pick this guy, or he fits the profile. But I've never really been in that situation, Hope. I mean,
that's good. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of our African-American males that's never been in that situation. But on the flip side of that, I'm also sure that there's a fear that because of profiling, you know, just because I ran to the Walmart to get some milk for my baby or to pick up some, you know, a spare pair of socks or wife beaters, you know, I walked out and it's me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and I'm not talking about anybody particular. And that's why I wanted to ask someone, you know, it's not me, of course, that's in the position. When I say the position, I'm talking about it's not so much about the African-American females, although the racial profiling exists on African-Americans, period. You know, but the police and everything just happen to seem like there's a little bit more weight on the African-American male side than it is females or African-Americans altogether. So I just wanted to get your perspective.
You know, I know my dad used to always tell me when I was younger, you know, if we made it to the age of 25 as black males, then we would probably be successful.
Okay.
And I was looking at the stats, and they were like, the age from the age of 20 to 35, you're more likely to be killed by a policeman in America as a black male. So I'm like, wow. I mean, I never really thought about that. You know, I know when I was coming up, you know, we had a lot of drug dealers and everything. So it was big, you know, as far as being an African American in Washington, D.C., that you would probably be dead by the age of 25. So my dad used to always tell me, you know, if you make it to 25, statistics say you be all right. You'll be all right. But we were losing black males then at a crazy rate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Is that, you think, is it more so because city life, fast life, and black males chose a different path than others? Or was it because of profiling? And I want to distinguish the two. That's why I'm asking.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, we did, you know, a lot of my friends that they're not here today, they chose that fast life, you know, drug dealing or whatever, or I don't know anybody that's been into like prostitution or trafficking or anything like that. But I know I had a lot of friends into drug dealing. After we graduated high school, then they became drug dealers for some reason, you know, and it was kind of crazy because I'm too scared to be a drug dealer. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, you put me in the cell and close the door, I'd be crying for my mama real fast, you know? So a lot of them, they're not alive today. And then some of them, they were really timid whenever we were young. And then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of years later, I'm like, this guy's the biggest drug dealer in DC or the biggest drug dealer in Maryland. I'm like, really? You know, and they were not killed by cops. They were killed by other African Americans.
Right. Well, you know, for some reason, you know, society has a negative image of African Americans, period. You know, they often present us as violent, dangerous, threatening. And the part that hurts me the more is that some people look at African Americans as being less than. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's an African American, it was like, you know, they're not equipped, they're not qualified, they're not educationally, you know, inclined.
Well, I've had that happen, you know, and one thing I can say about African Americans is that we're quick. We will identify a problem and we identify a fix for a problem real fast, you know, whereas a Caucasian, they might want to like, well, what does the law say? And what does this say? And what does that say? And before you know it, you got a small crime or a crime period that end up taking 5, 6, 7, 8 months to get justified. And then, you know, as people, we want to see it handled right then, right there, right now. Mm-hmm. So if you went out as a cop and you shot an African American, we want you to be dealt with. We don't want you to be dealt with a year later, 2 years later, when it's like, oh, everybody's got to calm down. You know, we need to think this thing through. No, we need to handle it right now. How do you feel right now? Because he took somebody's life. How do that person's, you know, family feel right now?
It's funny you said a fix, because my next question I was going to ask, but it also brought up something else with the comments you said, is how do we fix it? You know, and let me use that as a segue into something else. You were talking about when a cop, you know, violently kills a black African-American male, we want it handled now. Today, ironically, the verdict comes down for Derek Chauvin on George Floyd. You know, so he has 22.5 years. And if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correctly, that was just one of the 3 charges that's against him that they sentenced him for today. And, you know, in grabbing the commentation from the people that's out around the courtroom, you know, some of them are saying like, it's not enough. You know, I still feel there's a void. But there are, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, y'all fact check me on this, because I caught this real quick as we was coming on the set. You know, I think there's going to be other sentencing coming down for him for the other 2 things that he was charged for as well. But my whole point to seg that way into what you said is it's a year later. That happened May 2020, I'm sorry.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
a year later, you know, of course, people are going to say it's not enough. It's not enough. Mm-hmm. You know, how much punishment can you give an individual for taking another individual's life? Now, we don't want to be like in the old days, you know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You know, we don't want to, you know, a life for a life. You know, he took somebody's life, we take his life. You know, what do you want? What do you want as a person? The government cannot reach down with a magic stick and say, this is reform. They can try to, they can put it in place, but the people on the ground has to enforce that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, the government can't enforce that. I can say that this is wrong, but how many of us has ran a red light? How many of us has ran a stop sign? We all know it's wrong, but we all have done it. That's a little different than a life. You know, you're trying to change the mentality of a force. You're trying to change the mentality of people that goes out every day and put their life on the line that may not make it home to their family members. You know, and that was one thing as a truck driver. When I see somebody cut a truck driver off, and a truck driver, like I was coming home one night, the car cut the 18-wheeler off. The guy tried to avoid hitting the 4-wheeler, jumped the ditch, jumped the second ditch, kept the truck upright and hit right into a tree, dead on the spot. Had the freeway backed up for 7-8 hours. But that man has been out for 2-3 weeks and has not seen his family. You cut him off. You cut him off.
Right.
And now he's dead. Why? Because he's trying to get pantyhose, Pampers, diapers, whatever, you know, chicken to the store and make an honest living. And you cut him off and you took his life.
And chances are you're in a rush to get nowhere.
You
know, it's just that, hey, you know, it's that need for speed just to, you know, we always dipping and dodging, but we don't think, although we know we can make it, you know, somebody else is behind us practicing, you know, some form of safety, maybe slamming on brakes and the trailer jackknife, anything. You know, we don't think about what you guys have to think about. You know, if I'm on a motorcycle, I can dip and go, but it's a lot more for you.
Right.
You know, to avoid hitting someone.
I mean, like I said, you know, we go back to also like I was saying about the whole cop thing. This guy's putting his life on the line every day. Mm-hmm. You know, what would you have done differently in the situation that he's in? You know,
the cop.
Exactly. You know,
no, I'm asking, when you say he, you're referring to the cop?
Yes. Okay. I mean, put yourself in the cop's position. Now, there's a thing that comes out. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. It's called a blotter. And every day these guys get intel briefings. They get update briefings on what's going on in the community, right? Mm-hmm. So this information comes out. You go out for your shift. You want to protect and serve, but you also want to make it back to your wife and kids. Mm-hmm. Now, are you going to trust the intel and understand that you may not make it back to your wife and kids? Now, not all of them has been in the same situation. You know, if you're confronted with like I saw one the other day where the guy was using his car as a weapon against the cops. And then we were like, well, he wasn't doing anything. Dude, he was using his car as a weapon.
Right.
You know, you got to handle that. You got to neutralize the situation, because if he would have just stormed out of that parking lot and hit someone else or kill someone else, then those cops has failed us as citizens.
Right. You know, I heard, I think it was the Attorney General today, and this is not about the Chauvin trial. I just want to share this piece. I heard the Attorney General today say that even when you are a cop, when you detain someone, the first thing you should offer them is care. And when I heard that, I was like, you know, because a lot of times when, you know, if you're chastising a child, the child is running from you and you're trying to get them a lesson, be it if it's a whipping or if it's just a tongue lashing, they are crying. You're emotional like they are emotional. But a cop shouldn't, based on what that Attorney General said, a cop should have care. It's like, hey, I'm basically detaining you for the wrong. You know, you know, when I say the wrong, I'm saying the infraction of the violation. You know, you were drunk driving or you were jaywalking, whatever warrant him to get put in handcuffs for, they still have to show care. And that's my big thing when I'm talking about the fix. I understand we as a people have a way we should respond. If I get pulled over, I owe that cop at least some type of respect. Ma'am, you know, can I see your driver's license? I can ask what I'm being stopped for, but I should have, it's a way you do it. And I just don't want to be stopped, and just because they see the color of my skin, you know, the care goes out of the window.
Well, we have the same thing in the military. You know, we're governed by the Geneva Convention. So there are certain things that we can do and that we cannot do. But if you're fighting us as a combatant, we can kill you before we cross the objective. If we come back and kill you, it's against the law.
Okay.
So we train our soldiers differently when we cross in the objective to do certain things as you cross the objective and you're faced with the enemy, because you don't want to fight from two directions. That's a bad day. So yes, that officer is to provide care. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, we got a saying, if you come into a room as a policeman and there are people sitting there, your job is to save a life. You're coming in there different than when I would come in the room. When I come in the room as SWAT or whatever, then I'm going in there blasting because I have tangible a reason to be there. Intel has told me that this is happening. So when I'm going in, of course, I'm listening and looking, and I don't want to kill anybody wrongly, but I'm going in there ready to blast.
Right.
So if you move the wrong way, I'm blasting.
Right.
I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. That guy has to make it home. Now, there are some people that I've seen, like, I think one of the cases was the guy shot through a room. Come on, man. Come on. No, you don't do that. You don't shoot through rooms.
Right.
Do you not understand that most houses are paper thin? They don't even have, back in the day, whenever we built the house, we put a plywood outsiding sheathing on it.
Right.
And then we put the insulation and everything. We don't do that no more.
Right.
We just put some like wafer board or whatever they call it up on the side of the house and put that insulation up in that siding, and we ready to rock and roll. So you can literally basically run through somebody's siding and get in their house.
Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, I see your perspective from the military force, but we live when you're not in uniform, you're a civilian. You're walking the grounds like the average black man or the average, doesn't even have, just the average person. Doesn't have to be cut. I just want it to be a little bit more fair across the board. And I'm not saying that, it needs to be fair across the board, period. Regardless of color, justice should be for all, period. No gray area, and I know that we as a people in general, we walk in McDonald's sometime with an attitude, you know what I'm saying? And then we want to accuse the people of spitting in our food. Not that the people really would, but I'm just saying a lot of times you gotta be nice, and I think that's in all walks of life, all occupations, cops. Yeah, you're the cop, but you got a gun on your side. Even if I'm wrong, I'm still going to be nice to you. You know what I'm saying? But I shouldn't be fearful that, just because I had a tail light out, that you're going to kill me.
Right. I mean, I was told one time that the most dangerous thing you can do as a police officer is do a traffic stop.
I'm sure. I can see that.
Not only are you worried about the crazies coming down the road, but you worry about the guy in the car that might shoot you. So.
Yeah.
I could never do. And I got a lot of friends that's actually policemen. I couldn't do what they do on a day-to-day basis, knowing that one day you're going to leave home and not come back to your family. Granted, I may leave out of here and get in a car accident, yes. But the probability of a cop getting in a firefight or getting in some kind of altercation on his shift is highly likely. It's funny because I got one of my ex-soldiers that lived down in Sumter. I was talking to her one night on the phone, and she was going to sorry about that, guys. She was going to a housing complex, and the lady had threw feces on the lady's car. And I could hear her talking to the female. That's nasty.
Right.
But I could hear her because, as soon as she got there, she's like, hold on. And then she jumped out of the car and tried to handle it. But feces.
Who jumped out the car and tried to handle it?
My soldier.
Okay, I thought you were saying the other person, because that's a no-no, right?
That's a no-no.
Okay, I was fixing to say, see, she's wrong right there. And see, that's what I'm saying. I understand when they do things to protect their lives, but we all know that we don't jump out of cars when we're detained, when we're stopped by a cop. We don't know what that means.
When she got to the apartment complex, they were already there. So she pulled up at the apartment complex, and then when I say she jumped out of the car, she got out of her car.
Got you.
And then she was responding to a call.
Got you.
So that's crazy, but she could have walked into a crazy situation where they were bickering over feces that's been thrown onto your car and lost her life. Another time I was talking to her and she was crying. I'm like, what's up? What's up? She had just responded to a call and two people had a little altercation and she was taking her bag. I guess they carry body bags or something. And was pulling it over a 19-year-old guy. And she was like, he was running. Nobody cares. You know, I can't shoot you in the back. But the guy was running away from you. Why did you shoot him? Why did you have to kill him?
Right.
You know, back in the day, as what's his name that just died? The comedian from Friday. He said, boy,
John Witherspoon.
Yeah, put these up. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, but we lived to fight another day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody died from getting beat.
Right.
You know, you might have lost a little, couple cool points with your girl. Like, you know, that dude handled you last night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you live to fight another day.
Right. There was a situation like that. I want to say in Charleston. It was, a cop pulled over a guy. You guys help me with this. I want to say the guy's last name was Scott that got killed, but I cannot remember it right now. But anyway, the cop was pulling him over, I think for a broken tail light or something. He was driving a Mercedes. He parked the car, took off running. He's running away from the cop. And he's in like a open park. He's running away from the car, and the cop is saying, "Oh, put my gun down, put my gun down." Now, mind you, the guy's 200 feet ahead of him. And he shoots and kill him in the back. Shoots and kill him, but he shoots him from behind. Goes back to the precinct, tell them what happened, his version. What he didn't know is some kid was across the street recording it all. So you can hear everything that he's telling his boss, but it's not the right story. Dude is just sitting there running. And he was like, "Oh, you're trying to get my gun. Oh, you're trying to get my gun." Like, that's why you're shooting. And that's not the case. The guy's nowhere near him.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I remember. I think the guy's last name is Scott, but I can't remember. But nevertheless, it has happened.
You know,
but
let me ask you this. What about the other side of the coin? What kind of, the police department is there to protect and serve, but they have stats as well.
Right.
You know, they have things that they got to meet, quotas they have to meet. I mean, we all have heard that they got to meet quotas for the day. Do you think that maybe some of those police are under, constraints, or not constraints, but under pressure from their leadership? Like, you got to get your quotas up. You got to get your arrests up, because arrests turn into money.
I'm not sure. I would hope that's not the case, but I can see where you're going with it. I would hope it's not the case, because if let's just say it is the case. Now, I mean, to me, there are times when I'm on the road and I'm passing the cop and I'm like, "Hey, that person is speeding. How come he didn't stop him?" That's an opportunity to make money. Now, that could have been an off-duty cop. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he didn't stop him. And then, what I say? If that was me, they would have pulled me over, because I'm scared to pass a cop on the road. I don't know why. I set my cruise control and ride like one mile under them. I would do it every time.
Well, I was told that if you pull somebody over, it can tie you up in paperwork for hours.
What do you mean?
That you have so much paperwork to do whenever you get back to the station
Over one stop.
That they were like, "I ain't doing that. He only going 5 miles over. He'll be all right."
That's funny because, and it seems like nowadays, I understand we need that paper ticket to go to court, but it seems like things should be a little bit more automated with that process. They got just about everything in the cars. Right.
Some cities you can, don't they like take a picture of your plate and then just mail you the ticket?
That's what they did in Chicago, because I sure got that ticket in the mail. When I was working, when I was up there working, I was at a sign. It was a yield sign, but it was a red light behind the yield sign. So I was supposed to stop, and I kept rolling, and I was renting a car for work. They reached out to Enterprise and found out who had that car. That $100 ticket came here. I was scared too, because I just like, oh, my license gonna get suspended.
Right. I went through, I had rent one and went up to Virginia Beach. And when I went to Virginia Beach, I went through they don't have tolls. They tell you it's a toll tunnel, but they don't have anybody there to like physically take the money. So I drove right through it with my Enterprise rental, going right on through there. Sure enough, Enterprise just went ahead. They went ahead and sent that ticket straight to me. I'm like, okay.
So what were you supposed to buy one of those things to go in the window?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Seemed like the rental car people should have told. Well, where'd you rent the car from?
South Carolina.
Oh, Fact.
Well,
So how would you have done? How would you have known otherwise when you get there? Was it like something you can pull over like a machine about? I'm not being funny. I just don't know.
No, I think that's just normal practice for them. It wasn't a ticket, like it wasn't a fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, okay, you came through the toll, you need to pay this toll fee. Now, when I got to my unit, I told my soldiers about it, and they said, yeah, go around this way, Sergeant Major. So they told me how to get around it. But I mean, looking at your GPS is going to take you right through that tunnel every time.
Of course. They in the business of making money, friend. Yeah. Well, shout out to all of our, first responders, but in this case, our cops who are out there, doing the thing, doing it correctly. And, because I know it's a fear for you guys to, like you said, you never know who you never know whose house you're about to roll up on. You never know whose car you're rolling up on. So we commend you guys. I mean, you guys doing that. I have family members in that field. I have friends in that field, and you guys are doing, stellar jobs. But nevertheless, I'm sure there's when you walk out of the house, you'll be like, Lord, protect me. When you get home, is Lord, I thank you. I think each of us do that. But you guys, these days and time, it's a little different now.
Yeah, and I would say when you see something on TV about cops killing, African Americans, it's sad. It's extremely sad, but approach it like, did he do something, give them both the benefit of the doubt. Were the black guy wrong or were the cop wrong? If the cop's wrong, then the cop's wrong. If the black guy's wrong, he's wrong. I mean, and we know how our people can be, and if they're wrong, they're wrong, Now, I've seen some crazy stuff with these cops, but what are they dealing with that we don't know about? That's what I always ask myself. What would I have done in that situation? And I would tell you guys, a lot of leaders nowadays are gun shy. So as a result, you get people in like you say, I think the other podcast we were talking about, you get people that's not qualified in jobs. You get all kind of stuff. So leaders are gun shy, and then you get into an issue where you don't have enough people to fill your force. You have other issues. I mean, there's a second, third order effect to everything you do. But all I can say is, when you look at these cops, give them a fair shake, but judge them equally. Everybody gets their own fair cut of the,
Yeah. It's funny you said that about the people being gun shy and not wanting to be in the profession anymore. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago, an article came out, or maybe it was on the news, where the same thing is happening with teachers. Teachers are leaving the classrooms, and now they're considering, I'm not sure how far they've gotten with it, but they're considering allowing, degreed personnel, and I may be saying this wrong, but I know there's an article out there on it, but degreed personnel in the classroom without a teacher certificate. Like if I'm a business teacher and I got business background, I can teach it without the certification, just to get people in the classroom, get teachers in the classroom. It's another tedious profession, why it may not be experiencing the violence that we may have talked about, with the topic. Nevertheless, when we continue to do things, or when things continue to happen, people, they think about this thing, is it worth it? I can go someplace else and sit behind a desk and come home, almost be guaranteed, outside of normal stuff like, natural causes, car accident, heart attacks, to make it home to my family.
Right.
It's just, it's a toss up. It's a toss up. But I appreciate our teachers, and I appreciate our cops, and even you soldiers. I mean, when you guys go off, it's always touch and go. You pray that you come back, but you just never know. And we thank you.
We do.
Yeah. So you good?
I am good. Thank you for having this talk with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on my heart, so I wanted to ask you. I wanted to get someone else's perspective. I usually watch the news, take it in, and shake my head and be like, okay. But I just want to hear, from someone who, they were talking about black males, so I wanted to just ask. Yeah. Well, all right, you guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your feedback on this segment. See what your thoughts are and comments. Be sure to share them with us at the email address listed below. You can listen to us on Spotify and Amazon, but if you prefer video content, please take a moment to comment, like, share, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And you can also check out our website at alwaysaccuratemediagroup.com. If you need any additional assistance, hit us up at that email address listed below. You guys take care of yourselves and have a great rest of the week. Bye.